Oh,
Hi.
my countdown was too early.
Sorry, like the countdown wasn't good enough. Hi everyone, you're at the live Q&A with OK Student. I am Mariana, Head of Advisors, and today I'm here with...
Sarf, who is the strategy manager at OK Student Nottingham.
So me and Sarf have tried to do this live before and it did not go well because we had a bunch of echo on Instagram. So now we're trying it out on Facebook and YouTube.
Also,
Hopefully,
Marianne really wanted to get this live session done with me.
yes, of course. Like, I needed to do it again. I feel like you and I have really fun things to talk about, and I'm sure we're going to have great questions. So, guys, if you have anything to comment, anything to ask about studying in the UK, do comment below, either on Facebook and YouTube. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Also, do follow us in all our pages, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. And we regularly post a lot of information. LinkedIn especially, we have been posting a lot of information regarding how the universities are updating with the COVID situation. So it's very good information if you want to go for your higher studies in the UK.
Definitely. Follow us on all social media to find out as soon as possible about how universities are dealing with this, and to also see really fun content about our community. We have the Worldwide Challenge, Worldwide 100 Challenge still going on. So we have a lot of articles from people from different nationalities who are in the UK studying, who have come here to study in one of our great universities. So do check out our Medium blogs and our social media for all of those stories. And if you want to participate, definitely give us a shout. And you can write an article about your nationality and your experience in the UK.
So, Mariana, how has your last week, the positives of your last week in lockdown been?
The positives of my last week in lockdown have been that I actually found out that puffins live in the UK, in Wales.
Nice.
You know the puffins, like sea parrot things.
Yeah, I saw that one in Happy Feet. Yeah.
Oh man, they're so nice. And I figured out that they live in Wales. I'm currently locked down in Bristol and planning with my partner to just go to Wales as soon as the lockdown is over so we can go and see some puffins. So that's going to be awesome.
Hire a car, take a drive right now.
Oh man, I can't. It's 4 hours away still by car. So I really don't want to do that.
Not bad at all. Back home in Bangladesh, I'm not bad mouthing my country, but traffic is one of the key things. Within the city, it would take about 2 hours for me to get home from my office. So 4 hours for me is not a big distance.
Oh my God, that's your commute, basically your daily commute in Bangladesh.
Yes, basically I work 12 hours a day, 4 hours on the road and 8 hours in the office.
So this might be bad for me to say, but that's a thing that I have an idea of Southeast Asia, because I've never been. I would love to. So when you do go back home, please let me stay at yours for a quick vacation, because I would love to visit.
Keep you in the city for 2 days just to take you around all the great food places, and then we'll get out of the city and go to the tea garden areas and the.
Oh, that sounds nice. That sounds amazing. And of course, the first thing you would mention is food. I know you as the biggest foodie in the office. So tell me, how was Ramadan for you?
Ramadan was amazing. The best part about it was getting to be better in terms of cooking your own food. Because of course, being a student, you'd have to cook over here regardless because my family's back home. But all I've been having was frozen food, just heat it up, eat it, or just pay for food in the restaurant. But cooking skills has really taken a really good turn for me. Almost, so we had 30 days of Ramadan. At least 25 of the days I cooked, and that was fun. Basically, because the last part of the fasting is the most crucial part. 2 hours, because it's an extra 2 hours over here than back home. So that's where I have to distract myself by cooking to not feel hungry, if that makes sense. But then the last 5 minutes before I start eating is when it really hits me.
It's the moment of desperation. It's you can you can almost hear the rumbling of drums.
I just stand in front of the food. I'm I'll just stir the mug with my the juice that I made, and I'm just waiting. Okay, time. But
looking at the watch obsessively, is it time yet? Is it time? Is it time?
Yeah, so like back home, we always have the call for prayer to indicate that it is the time to eat. Over here, I just have to look at the watch on my like and just go like, okay, 9:15. Why is it not 9:15 yet?
I fully get that. Like, and I'm glad that you've improved your cooking skills with like this time. I do want to say two things here. Like, that sounds a lot like my lockdown, basically. All I've been doing is baking and cooking with one of my housemates. I find it really therapeutic. But I also remember, like, when I was an undergraduate student and all of the weird stuff that I used to eat. So, like, I don't know if you have like a specific recipe that you like know works when you're in university. And like, guys, if any of you have weird recipes or weird things that you eat, do comment below, because we want to know like how you survive with food as an undergraduate student.
Like even though we're drifting towards recipes, like this is part of staying in the UK. Like you're staying away from home. What is the best thing that you can get? For example, like we don't really get a lot of varieties of mushrooms back home, but over here I just chop up mushrooms, tomatoes, and capsicum, and then just put it on like on the frying pan with onions and all the
Mm.
masalas that we have. So like from okay, paprika, chili powder, and any other powder that we have. Garam masala is the best one. Salt, and I just put the lid on for like 10 minutes. Take the lid off, keep it there for like 10 more minutes. It's done. Like simple as that.
That
And
sounds really nice.
it cooks by itself. So like I don't really have to do much over there. And in addition to that, like I would have gone for like a lot of rice kind of dishes, but the simplest way is to get a burrito wrap, which you can use as a tortilla. Like and then because those come in like really big shapes, so like it's much easier to use that rather than like going for like a tortilla bread, which may or may not be the best texture.
I see you have definitely fought this through, man.
Yeah, like
It's amazing how you're like, no,
day
it
one
needs.
of Ramadan would have been like, yes, get bread, eat mushroom. Day 30 of Ramadan, yes, so delicately you put the salt in like a salt bay, and then so yeah, things have been going much better in terms of food. Like the end of Ramadan was the best one. On our Eid day, the celebration was the entire day we had food. I called a couple of friends over like around me who were celebrating Eid as well. So like they were here throughout the entire day. We had food like on a regular basis. That's like the best part about well Ramadan and the end of Ramadan.
Yeah, I feel like it's also the sense of community, right? At the end, like when you celebrate Eid and you're together with everyone. How was it like doing that during lockdown? Because like this year has been so different for like the Muslim community to celebrate Eid everywhere, exactly because you don't have that component of community so closely tied. Is that right?
Yes. So basically, when we start our Eid day with prayer in the mosque with everyone around, and then we embrace each other when the prayer is done. So like that's like the number one thing that we do, which we couldn't like across the globe. So that was kind of like the one thing that we missed a lot because like it's like a tradition for me as well. Like the first person I embrace is my dad every single Eid.
Oh,
So like of course I couldn't do that anyways, but that's a big part of how we celebrate as a community. And over here, the best part was just yesterday we had a Eid impromptu dinner meeting with the NTU faith community. So we had like 60 plus people all in a Zoom call, and everyone's just like telling us about how they enjoyed Eid over here, how they celebrated, what food they made. We also had a virtual iftar with like the NTU faith community, so and the global lounge. So like it's a great society that we have over here. And that's one of the best things about UK is like every university has a specific society that caters to almost every single part of the community that is in the university. So
exactly.
like, you don't feel too left out. Like a lot of my friends I know, they have not have had any iftar, or they have which is like breaking the fast
Mhm.
with anyone else around them. Like over here, they've just had it by themselves. So it's really good for some people. And like I am living with a friend, but like some of my friends, they're like, yeah, I just warm up some pizza and get over with it. I'm like, yes, that's okay, but these virtual iftars then help us just to connect as a community, because lockdown isn't the easiest thing in the world. Um,
Exactly.
a lot of mental pressure that hones in on you as well. and like universities really try to help with that with emails and like communication with like any specialists that they can help you out with. But at the end of the day, if you are positive, you can help someone be positive over here as well.
Exactly. Like that's what I wanted to mention as well, is like I feel like we touched upon this a bit last week when I was talking to AT about like the cultural diversity and the faith diversity in the UK. And like I do feel that universities are really supportive of this, like with prayer rooms and specific societies and things like Global Lounge that help like integrate these faiths into our community of students as well. Do you feel like that's like something that you would say is a positive in the UK?
Oh yeah, of course. So one of the best things in the UK is like because it's much more concentrated in comparison to other key study countries like US or Canada. Like one of the events that we had, it incorporated the University of Nottingham, Islamic Society, Nottingham Trent Islamic Society, and like a couple of others as well. There's a really good integration that can be done in this area, and the best part about that is a lot of people can't really relate with a lot of communities or teams over here once they come. For example, I met this girl from Algeria. I've never seen her before. She was I've never seen her in the university or the Global Lounge, which is like the common place for everyone. And probably she was very shy. She didn't know anybody. She was Muslim, but like she didn't know how exactly the community will accept her or like how she should be to do that. But she was there in just one event of NTU Faith, and then she got along. She got to know a couple of people, and then she was there in every other event. She got to be like engaged with a lot of people like on an active basis.
That's really good. That's really good. We have a question from Joanna here.
Hey, Joanna.
I wanted, hey Joanna, and again to everyone who's joining us, you're here at the live Q&A with OK Student. I am Mariana, head of advisors, and I'm here with
Sarf, the strategy manager.
We're answering any and all questions you might have about studying in the UK, either your undergraduate, your masters, your PhDs, your MRESs. We can like help you with all of these questions. If you have any questions, do comment below, or if you just have a comment, if you want to share your experience with faith in the UK, if you want to share your experience of living here, do comment below so we can talk about it. So and Joanna, go ahead.
All right, rock, paper, scissors.
All right, tied. You can go, though.
I'll take it. All right. So what do you think of career prospects in the UK once you have finished your course? Are you planning to stay or go back to your country? Interesting. So always UK is a top destination for any job market. Like it's one of the leading job markets or leading marketplaces in the world. So of course, I would want to look into the prospects over here. It sometimes is a challenge because unless your CV is very strong, then the companies don't know exactly whether they should invest in sponsoring your tier 2 visa. So over there, that's one of the main areas in the UK. All of these universities, they give you a lot of opportunity, sometimes too much opportunity that you actually miss out on a lot of them because of clashing coursework or something like that. And for example, in Nottingham Trent University, I have had the opportunity to go for the Accelerate Award, which I got the Gold Award recently. Thank you.
Congratulations.
I took part in the Thinkubator Challenge, the 10-pound IOD Challenge. I recently submitted the Global Enterprise Experience competition. There's a business case. There is a business leadership essay writing competition that is coming up. So it may not be a lot if you think about it, like in terms of whether it relates to your course, but it just may add a little bit more to your CV. So for example, a hiring manager could go like, okay, this person has the same things as every other applicant, but in the meantime, he or she actually went on to do this and this and this. It may not be directly applicable, but it shows how much you're dedicated to improving yourself. improving the personal, the interchangeable skills that you learn through your entire year. Thankfully, I've been able to get the job at OK Student as well as a strategy manager. And that, along with my master's, I'm doing my job and I'm doing all these competitions. Hopefully, that gathers to a much more heavier CV in comparison to someone else. Not like taking their jobs, but like definitely giving them a run for their money. But yeah, I'd keep this option open. And of course, back home, there are opportunities as well. COVID has had a hit in every economy, but no economy is going to just stop right here. They have to grow, and the best people to grow are with people who are like just out in the market right now. Hopefully, like someone like me will be accepted very like happily. Like having 6 years of experience on my back along with a master's, that should be helpful. It in any country. So London and UK is one of the top priorities that I do have for my career prospects.
I definitely think there's something you said there that is really relevant, where like extracurricular activities help so much, and not only in like job search, but also when you're applying for an actual course. Like people will look at if you've done extracurricular activities during your high school or during your secondary school, and they will look at like hobbies you might have or competitions you might have been in. So if you're struggling with writing your personal statement and you don't know what to put on, but you like participated in a chess competition when you were in secondary school, put that in, because that makes you slightly different from all of the other applications that these admission leaders are going to be looking at.
Yeah, so one of the key things that I've seen in my experience with 4 different companies across my career is whenever I write, let's say, the cover letter or the CV, they know what a master's in management and international business is. They can just Google that and find out. But what have you learned? That's what they look for. So in my interviews, they've never asked what you learned from your course. They've asked, okay, so you were into debating. I was in debating for 3 years in my university. So tell me about your experience in the World University Debating Championship in Malaysia. What did you learn? What did you do? And that's the best part of the interview right there, because they want to know what you did as a person, how much you want to achieve as an individual. And UK universities as a whole give a lot of opportunities for that.
Exactly. And I want to mention as well, it's like you have dual experience in a sense, because you've been in the US as well, you worked in the US. Do you feel like the US would be a job market that you'd want to go into again?
It is. So I only have 3 options right now: UK, US, and my home country, Bangladesh. US is always a great job market. And I've always I've even developed economic paper on this back when I was in school. It's kind of like why a lot of people from South Asia have gone to US and gone on to get good jobs, and not only like jobs which people think is not of a high enough designation. Is because like there's a lot of skill sets that we can bring, and right now it's more of the skill sets that matter to the market rather than okay, where have you worked. They would question you on okay, what can you do that is more of a value to them, and that helps out a lot in any market. US and UK are always going to be big markets over here. For example, if I'm to look into tech based companies, US is, of course, one of the best areas, if not the best area to look into. However, people a lot of times overlook Ireland as a potential place, and Dublin, of course, is European headquarters to Google, Facebook, and a lot of tech companies. So a UK degree and then jumping right onto Ireland can be an option as well.
Exactly. And it also really depends on like the field you want to do, because I studied in Cambridge as well, and Cambridge has the headquarters for Microsoft now. They're developing a technological camp. And honestly, the UK is developing so much in startup, and it has so much of an interesting like startup culture and startup economy that it might be a good option. I wanted to ask you as well, like why, like this is the main question that we get sometimes from students about US and UK. And it's like, why should a student choose to come to the UK instead of going to the US, which is always that dream, right? Of like, oh, I want to go study in the US because it sounds super glamorous. Like, why should a student pick the UK?
I think I would be one of the best candidates to ask that question because I also have a green card of the US, so permanent residency, and I still picked the UK. And it took me roughly 1 to 1.5 months to convince my parents that why won't be going to the US. That was a very, very tough job.
So are you going to give us all of your arguments now so that our students know how to convince their parents? Yes.
A few layers of arguments over there. Like arguably, both countries have amazing educational qualities. UK has its lengths with Oxford, Cambridge, King's, UCL, etc. US has the Harvard, Yales, and MITs. You really have to consider what kind of line you want to go towards. That is, of course, one. So based on that, you have to decide, okay, which country will give me a better balance over there. Then you come past the educational bit and to your personal bit. I have 5 years of experience. My dad is in the process of retiring by the end of the year, hopefully. So I need to get my master's
done. Good for him, by the way.
Yes, good for him. But like this gives me a race to like establish my career on as fast as possible. So I needed to get my master's done in 1 year, which UK gives. US, on the other hand, is a 2-year master's. Then if I come to financials now, a lot of people, and this is almost everyone that I've met in Bangladesh, they have asked me, isn't the UK expensive? Yes and no. Yes, because everyone thinks UK is London. No,
yes.
UK is not London. So like I'm in Nottingham, which for me right now, I think it's costing me 1/3 of what I would have spent in London on a monthly basis. And like that's the thing. London has a lot of universities. UK has a lot more. So and all these cities, Nottingham is one of the best like value for money cities, I'd say right now, and that gives me a lot of area of looking into what kind of fund I need for this. Which brings me to my third point, funding. One of my friends, and this is like if I met this guy a year ago, and that would have been much easier for my parents. So I met one of my friends in NTU, who's from Austin, Texas, or Dallas, Texas, somewhere in Texas. His name is Austin, though. What happened is, so like I was just surprised by him coming to the US, from the US to the UK, and I just asked him, okay, why did you pick the UK? Like you could have easily gone into any university in the US. So his answer was very simple. He would have needed to take a $60,000 loan across of his master's term for his tuitions only. For this degree, he took a $40,000 loan for everything involved: accommodation, living costs, and like everything. So that was my second part. Like if your finances are a little not constrained, like if you just care about not spending too much money across 2 years, because you have to consider that it's not only your tuition expenses for 2 years, it's your accommodation, it's your living expenses, and everything miscellaneous expenses for 2 years. And that's where it was like one thing that my parents needed to consider, that okay, regardless of being like, even though he's a citizen born and brought up in the US, he's not getting that. And for me, I'm just a permanent resident, so like I wasn't going to get that regardless, even as with an immigrant visa. So that's like those three things were the main ones to just put US aside for me and then focus on the UK. And while while focusing on the UK, that's where I did like an entire Excel sheet. I told you about the matrix that I did, right?
Yep.
So there was like 17 university choices, and then carving down column wise, broken down. So like I did my entire research, and then thankfully I could contact OK Student as well for some advice. I didn't take most of that advice, but I took that advice and implemented in my matrix. But thankfully, I can help a lot of people out right now.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Is like, guys, if you don't want to have to do an entire matrix, just fill in our form at okstudent.co.uk/form, so that Sarf can send you his matrix of like just all the courses that he wanted. I think this is great. So like just to kind of sum up these three things that people should think about when choosing in between the UK and the US is personal budget.
Yes.
Professional goals.
Financing is one. Secondly is, do you want to spend 1 year or 2 year for your master's, which for me kind of gives the same area of study. It may be a little more detailed in certain universities in the US. And thirdly, would be really like what do you want to study, and if the university that you are choosing will have any greater impact or lesser impact than in the US.
Exactly. I mean, if you want to study like Beyonce studies, obviously you have to go to the US because that's the only place where it exists. But I don't
Or
know.
there is a course, I believe in Chicago somewhere, that you can do a course in Batman, on
Oh my
Batman,
God. Oh my
literally.
God. I'm not even going to comment on that.
Hey, it's only America where you can do that.
Joanna, however, has a very, very relevant question here. Where should healthcare be a factor in between deciding the US or the UK? Did you think about the NHS versus the private healthcare in the US when you were deciding this?
For my decision, no. But after coming here, yes. So my best friend, he studied in the UK as well, a couple of years ago, and he told me like this one day random. So he fell on his mirror and cut his cut like just above his tricep. So he went to the doctor. He got it stitched up, and then when he was when he was done, the doctor's like, "Yeah, you're good," and he's like, "For free." So like yeah, that really helps because NHS, and when I looked into the details, it covers, I believe, up to 50, well, it doesn't directly give you that, but up to 50,000 pounds worth of coverage that you do get for various things. So I've had a knee issue for roughly the last 3.5 years. I got that checked over here. I recently had a mild infection, which I was fearing a little bit because it was literally at the beginning of Corona. So I got that checked as well. So yeah, the healthcare system is very helpful over here versus in the US. I'm not 100% sure about how student healthcare for like international students is, but when I was working there, the bill was not very friendly.
Yeah, I can imagine, definitely. And I mean, in the NHS, when it's international students, all you have to do is pay a small surcharge during your visa application. The surcharge is around, what, 200 to 300 pounds, I think?
I believe so. As far as I remember, in terms of dollars, it was $400. So something around 250 to 300 pounds.
Exactly. So all you have to do is pay this amount and you'll be covered by the NHS for the duration of your visa. So theoretically, for the duration of your studies. And then
And
when you actually get, sorry?
and 4 months after after your master's is completed or your bachelor.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And also, when you get in, like one of the things that I always find really helpful is that universities really help you through enrollment here and help you register with a GP, with a general practitioner, with a clinic as soon as you arrive. So, for example, when I arrived at NTU this time, immediately I was registered with Sunrise Medical Center, who's a part of like NTU Student Health Services. I never went in there, but recently I had a medical issue and I had to call a hotline. And they were like, okay, who's your GP? Where are you registered? And all I had to do was give the name of the center. And immediately I'm covered by the NHS. So it's quite straightforward. It's a really good system. And it's definitely something that people need to take into account when thinking about, especially if you're staying for an undergraduate degree, which is during 3 years. For sure, you're going to need to see a doctor at some point. So do consider this when you're trying to decide in between the US or Canada or Australia or any other of these countries and the UK.
Yeah, healthcare is definitely one of the key things that can be a deciding factor because you never know what's going to happen. I'm not going to go into the details, but in my first week in Nottingham, there was a car accident, which thankfully I did not get a lot of hurt or anything like that. But I felt like there was a lot of seriousness in that accident. I went to the NHS and it was completely fine. Thankfully it was completely fine, but like it just being there and in an emergency case, going there without worrying about any monetary issue or anything like that is the best part. Is it just makes sure that whatever happens, the country has got your back.
Exactly. And like we have speaking of best parts, we have a related question here from Milena so that we can move the topic onwards to a more positive conversation. So Milena is asking us, or you, what is the best part of studying in the UK?
Why didn't you start this one?
Oh my God, all I can think about now is the NHS, so I have no idea. I feel like I don't know. I don't know. I feel like the best part of studying in the UK might be the level of support that they have for students, actually, because my experience is overworked professors with very low wages who don't have time to pay attention to students, which is absolutely not true in the UK. So not only you have like a lot of support staff that will help you with anything you need in regards to admissions, in regards to enrollment, in regards to support or mental health or health, physical health, anything, but you housing, like hardship funds, everything. But you also have like really dedicated lecturers who are there for you, who care about the work that you're doing, and that's quite different from my experience back home, I think.
Back home, it's kind of so university life is very different because we have, and this is a very fun number, 51 universities in Dhaka city, a
Oh my
city
God.
a city that is smaller than London. I think it is much smaller than London. It is one of the most populated cities in the world, densely populated. 51 like was the last number I believe I saw. 51 or 53. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh my
So
God.
so we don't actively have the university experience like this, where like you get to stay in dorms and all. There's a very select number of people who come from like outside the main city, from other cities or villages or wherever they are residing originally. But the study experience is, number one, very different. Secondly is how the study is taking place. So, and everything that we have done in back in Bangladesh, the assessments was the worst part for me, because it's just like very concentrated, and I think it's over the course of time the mentality of assessing those exams or reports have been very let's say shallowed down, because like even if a lot of answers may be innovative, if it's not by the book, sometimes or in a lot of cases it's frowned upon in terms of your results. And I've actually actively seen that, where a faculty gave me a smiley face for like how innovative the answer is, however not according to the slides, was the comment. And
Oh.
it really pissed me off, because like I understand how the book goes, I'm not changing what the book says, I'm just saying what my iteration of it, which precisely is what is I've seen changed over here, because all six of my modules till now have had six different kinds of assessments. So I've done essay writing, reflective reports, poster design and presentation. I've had like literally a face off with another team for contract for a consultancy company that was an HR module, and it's been really fun. I've also given an exam as well. And how I see it is, even though it can be subjective at times, there are certain areas which have to be fulfilled, because this was the first time ever, let's say for my first module here, my report was like something I've never done. Back home, referencing and doing the entire 4,000 word essay is not very common for bachelor's study. But I did that, and then I asked for feedback as well, and the faculty was like, your understanding is what matters over here, and then comes the technicalities, how you reference, have you done Harvard referencing or not. But this assessment is very unique, and all of these assessments in one way or another helps you develop yourself in certain aspects. I never knew I hated doing research in throughout my work. Even I hated doing research, and that's one of the major reasons why I picked this course in comparison to me wanting to go for behavioral economics. Rather than that, I picked management and international business, because I probably will do lesser research. However, they made sure that I do research for my papers, but it turns out to be one of the best experiences I've had, because like for that research I went to doing this business competition report, and that turns out to be one of the best reports I made, like in comparison to anything else I did before, and even in my work life. So yeah, the best part about you studying in the UK for me would be how the faculties assess you and how much help you get from the faculties as well.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely one of the main key things about studying in the UK, it's the support that we get from the universities. I feel that assessment, the way that things are assessed here, is like critical thinking is really well assessed. And especially, I come from humanities and social sciences, so we have a lot of like input on a lot of curricular input exactly on critical thinking, innovative solutions, like how you think is really important more than like how you engage with like determined offers. Or better, it's about how you engage with determined authors, but it's about if you engage with them critically or if you engage with them in kind of a yes man sort of thing. And definitely the critical thinking is what wins out here, and the innovations what wins out here, and trying to find new solutions and coming up with new things. So if you're a person who really likes to think about these things, the UK is the perfect place for you to be. um Another like thing of like, for those of you who are joining us now, you're here live with OK Student. My name is Mariana, and I'm here with Sarf today, talking about studying in the UK and answering all of your questions. If you have any questions, and
Sorry.
yes, if you have any specific questions and you want some help with applying to the UK because you're thinking about taking an undergraduate degree or a master's or a PhD or an MRes, anything, do contact us through the forum down below, okstudent.co.uk/form, or put in your question in the comments below. We have another question from Joanne.
Joanna
Go ahead,
has
Sarf.
Joanna has been very active with the questions today. Why do you think students should use OK Student services, especially when they are already studying in the UK? Do you want me to take that?
Well, we can both take it, I think. For me, it's a lot about our advisory process. That's what makes us different, and definitely our community power as well. Do you want to expand on that a bit?
Yes. So this is a conversation I had last night with an individual, and the day before with another individual. So I was talking to them through LinkedIn, and they were asking me, "Well, I'm already looking to apply, but I didn't want to right now because the LLM course or LPC course that he was going for costs 14,500 or something of that sort." And I just asked him like where he looked for it, and he said he gave me his university details. So I just took a quick search, and it took me like 2 minutes to find one of our partner universities in offering the same course, which was almost £3,000 lesser. And his idea was it's a standardized fee across the board. So there are a lot of details that goes into education over here that a lot of people may not know about, and it's there are some standardized fees which is according to certain courses, however, for UK and EU students. However, that's not the case for every course. That's not the case for every university as well. In some cases, it might be lesser. Some it might be more in some cases, and that really helps out knowing all those details. Another really important issue that like a lot of people have asked me, well, I want to study in this specific university for this. The reason was just as blatant as he or she wanted to study in that specific university. So my question was, if you want, of course, we can help you out with the application in that university. However, do you want leading university in that specific field? If that's the case, then we can definitely look into options. For example, biomedical sciences, one of my applications, one of the prospective students, he wanted to go for London. So London, of course, is one of the major areas where a lot of the best universities are. However, the number 8 university, Imperial College, was in London. All the others were somewhere else. And it's not necessarily that LSE, UCL, Imperial would be the best out of the lot in certain degrees. There are others, and a couple of universities some people may not have ever heard of, who are leading in that field. It may help out to get a balance of both. If the university has a really good name for in that field versus how it connects to the work that you would be doing later on. And that's an information where we come as a balance, where our database, and we gather databases from other databases as well. And there's a lot of information that we can give in terms of course fees, in terms of entry requirements, in terms of scholarships as well. A lot of people may have browsed past a few scholarships that, being from a certain specific country, for example, Nigeria or India, can help. And like there are a lot of universities that specifically give scholarships to people of these nations. And those are information that a lot of individuals may not be aware of, where we step in.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely. I think that for me, it's definitely about all of that information. So all the information we can give a student that they don't have yet or that is difficult to find, and finding like the perfect course, the perfect university in the perfect city is like the most important thing for us. So if you're looking at studying in the UK, if you're unsure, or even if you're absolutely sure of the university you want to go to, don't hesitate to contact us at okstudent.co.uk/form so that we can check if that is actually the best option for you or if there are others. I feel that, for example, we talk a lot in these lives about London because it's such a city that students like have a preference for. And again, guys, if you're living in London and you disagree or you like profoundly agree with what we are saying, do comment below, like let us know what you think. I always have this opinion of London that London is extremely expensive and a bit overrated as a city.
Overrated may or may not be. I would qualify it as, if you're living in London as a tourist or a resident versus as a student. So that's the main comparison that I would need to do, because I don't know if there is a perfect city for everyone. Even if there is, I may not know before I go in, right? But so when I went to London, and my cousin lives there, I went around London, amazing place, has everything, fantastic. How does my student funding or finances for the entire year live up to it? How does my lifestyle cater to it? Like a lot of activity, but not a lot of fuss in the city. So like a good balance of that would have been great. Also, like I still do want to be in a city. So for example, I one of our partner universities, I'm not going to name them, is situated a little outside of one of the major cities. And that may be an issue for some people, where they want an active lifestyle as well, but beside their studies. So they may not want that option, versus someone who wants to be dead center in the city on an active basis. So Nottingham Trent University were like turned out to be one of the options, which favored my my position, where my living expenses were marginally much lower. I live, if I consider a bus ride, including the bus ride and the walking, it takes 10 minutes to get to the university. But the accommodation fees are very cheap. The city in itself has everything in it, while being a very small city in comparison. So that works out. And those are information that it's not only me giving you, promoting Nottingham to you, but there are individuals in every other city who we know, from partner universities to other advisors, who can give you a lot of information on, okay, what happens in the city and is it the best fit for you? If you want something that's hip and happening, like every day, you need a lot of activity in the city. Maybe Manchester and London are a couple of options you should consider.
Yeah, but even Manchester is so much cheaper than London as well. I always think that it's really good. Like, for example, I was browsing through videos of Bristol yesterday. I always think that it's so good for students to just go through videos of their city, just input onto YouTube. And your advisor can send you these as well, because they have access to a lot of them. So just input onto Google or YouTube your preferred city. So, for example, Bristol, and living as a student, or life as student in Bristol, or life as student in Manchester, and a series of videos either from the universities themselves or student unions or individual students who are just doing vlogs about their own lives. That will all show up, and it will give you a really clear idea of what it's like to actually live and study in that city. There's a related thing I wanted to say here, which is London, because it's such a big city. I've often thought about like just the time it takes you to get somewhere, because it's a bit like São Paulo and cities like this that are really big, and you end up living so far away from your friends that it takes you like an hour just to get like to the pub where they're all drinking at. So you're gonna end up like in a really big city, but you're going to need to travel so much to get to anywhere that it will just be useless to have all of those things. When you have too much, it gets too much.
Anti-London, by the way. Like,
What? Sorry?
we are not anti-London. It's just like a couple of experiences.
Yeah, we have like one of our advisors, Stefan, lives in London or lived in London for a while because he's now moving. And I think it's a great city if you want to visit, but I would definitely not live there for all of these reasons. But it's also my experience of it.
Yeah, exactly. So a couple of things that also like I would consider when choosing cities is what kind of culture that city entails too. Or like, for example, if someone really loves heritage, Durham is a great place to be in. Like a lot of all the buildings, castles, and all that. One of our partners, City Life, like through them, we have gone to a lot of these places as well, just for the advisors to actively get an idea of what these specific cities look like and feel like, and so that we like in a day or two we can get some idea of, let's say I've been to Liverpool, absolutely love it. Like the wind is the first thing and probably the only thing that I loved for half the day until I went to Anfield. So like a lot of these things in certain cities, we just like to get the touch of and then get back to you what we love there. We have someone in Derby, we have someone in Leicester. The advisors are really like there to help us.
We have someone in Coventry.
Yes, and
Whoop whoop.
you are currently in Bristol.
Bristol, yes, yes.
Yes. So
Good
like
city, good city.
exactly. So it's not a personal opinion because I know Mariana has been in Nottingham for a long time as well, and then she has been in Cambridge as well. So this is how our network really tells you what kind of city might you fit in. It may not be the best one, of course. It's almost impossible for us to do that, but we try to get on one of the best fits for you, so that you end up enjoying your stay in the UK.
Exactly. So that's a lot of like what we're all about as students, advising students through their own experience. Obviously, through like the specialized knowledge that we have, we do a lot of trainings with universities. We do a lot of visits and tours to them, but it's mainly students advising students about their own experience. And to be fair, it's the most current experience you could get, right? Because we're all still students living in the UK, and we can definitely help you in selecting your city, taking into account your budget, taking into account the things you like to do, everything. I don't know about you, Sarf, but like during this lockdown, I have developed a very keen passion for bird watching that I'm definitely gonna like start thinking about when I start thinking about the next city I'm gonna move to.
Quite the interesting hobby.
I know, right? I know.
Like when you say students advising students, that really helps out because it in the last 8-9 months that I've been here, it takes a little while to get adjusted to the living situation over here. But right now I've realized what I should go where, and not for anything specifically your groceries and like where you should go for buying stuff. Like Tesco
I
is
know that's such an important thing because you can waste so much money buying like the wrong things or buying at the wrong places.
the first couple of months went, like, I wouldn't say it went horrible, but then when I realized my first couple of months and now I can see at least on a monthly basis I would have saved like £100 at least. Like from going to Tesco and like going to Asda and Aldi and M&S, like I know when to go to M&S for what, and then when to go to Asda and Aldi for what, and that really helps out. Like, and on a monthly basis, I go to M&S at least once, I go to Aldi at least once, gets my like groceries done within the not necessarily to the budget, but I get quality food from certain areas as well, and that really helps out with the student experiences. Like, okay, so would you consider Waitrose as an option? Of course, I would consider Waitrose as an option, but maybe not on a regular basis if I'm still a student.
Exactly. I feel like Waitrose is one of those like, well, it's a treat. You give yourself a treat by going and buying food from Waitrose. Yes. All right. This has been great. We're almost closing. So if anybody has any questions, say them now or hold your peace until next week, basically, when we'll be back with another one of our advisors.
Next week. If you have any questions, just sign up on the forum. And live, of course, next week. But we are available almost 24/7 as long as we are not sleeping. Some of us work really late, some of us work really early. So it practically balances up.
Yeah, we have different time zones, guys. We're all in the same country still, but we have different time zones. So like, feel free, send us a message at 4 in the morning. Maybe somebody will actually like answer you at 4 in the morning. Do fill in the form and contact us if you have any questions about studying in the UK, coming to study, or if you just want help with your application, help with translation, help with like getting here, all of these things. We can definitely assist you with
if
anything.
UK is in your agenda, then OK Students is up there for you.
That's exactly it. Sarf, thank you so much for this. This was great. Shall we do this again soon then?
Yes, soon enough.
Awesome. Thank you to everyone who came and watched us today, and thank you to everyone who asked questions.
Thank you so much, guys, for being a part of this.
Yes. Do tune in next week, same time, on Thursdays for our live Q&A with OK Student. Bye.